What is going on, guys? It is Dinosaurs, and today I'm bringing a video that I promised probably about a month ago, and it's my comic book collection, but I don't know if you guys can see. You obviously actually can't. I know for a fact you can't. Um, I have like 7 boxes worth of comic books, and it's just way too hard for me to have to show every single one of those. So I figure I'll show just the best of my collection. So that's given the title. So I picked out some of the books from my collection that are like worth more money, that are like first issues, first appearances, so things like that that I really like in my collection. Some of them isn't necessarily that big of a deal, but to me, I like them, and they're really important parts of my collection to me. So this first issue that you guys are seeing right now is Commandy, issue number 1, the first issue where it went to DC, I believe, and you got Jack Kirby. I don't know if you guys can see that actually on the camera, but you got Jack Kirby on the art, and Jack Kirby is actually one of the most sought after artists when it comes to like when people are going back to try to find old collection or old books in their collections or whatever. Jack Kirby is one of the most important people that people search for. He was a part of making, I think, like the Fantastic Four and like really big name characters. So yeah, this is a pretty cool book in my opinion. It cost me like not that much money actually, but it's actually worth a lot more than I bought it for. Because I try to get as much stuff as I can on eBay. As you can see, number 1 and 20-cent cover. The colors are magnificent even. As you can tell, really beautiful colors. So that is that. Moving on to the next one. This one is in my best of my collection because I just really love this cover. It's one of the first times and it actually means something to me because it's one of the first times I ever went back and like went on eBay and tried to find some back issues. So yeah, and it's issue 601 of Amazing Spider-Man, 99 issues before Peter died. And this cover is actually pretty legit, if you guys can tell. So there you go. That's one of my favorite covers. That's why that is in there, just because I really love the cover. So the next two I'm just going to show quickly. It's issue 700 of the Amazing Spider-Man series. And basically this is the issue where Spider-Man, or Peter Parker at least, dies. And it's pretty important to me, obviously, because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. So that is the normal cover, as you can tell. And I also got one of the variant covers. I couldn't afford to get every one of them back in the day because they were $8 a piece. And it was already a pretty big week for me that week, so couldn't afford to get every one of the 22 million covers. So this next one is pretty cool. I recently got this in my collection not too long ago. Probably about 2 or 3 months ago, actually. It's Ghost Rider issue number 2. Now, this isn't the Ghost Rider that we all remember from the movies. This is the Ghost Rider, like the original Ghost Rider. And you can tell 12-cent cover, issue number 2, signed by Dick Ayers. And I think, I'm not too positive, but it's, I think it's the writer or maybe the penciler or the colorist or something, I don't know, but Dick Ayers is the penciler, and he did all the art. And honestly, probably one of my favorite books in my collection because the colors are still really nice on it, and there's really not too much damage except for, like, you know, right here, a little bit of damage. But for being signed by the guy who did the art, that's pretty awesome. Probably one of the only things I have signed in my collection, so it means something to me. Now the next thing is a rather new book. It's called Revival. I was recommended it by my local comic book shop owner, and when he recommended it to me, it was worth about $80 on eBay, and that's what he was trying to sell it to me for. And me and my friend John, we actually went comic book hunting, and we found one of these for only $3.25, literally 25 cents over the cover price. So that's pretty awesome. And hopefully, because they're actually making a TV series about this show, or this comic even, so I'm really hoping that one day I can sell the entire series that I have for a pretty good amount of money, because I'm not a huge fan of the story, but hopefully it goes as big as Walking Dead. And so the next couple of books are some Kick-Ass related stuff, and as you guys may or may not know, I really love Kick-Ass. It's one of my favorite movies, and I really love the comics. So here's Kick-Ass 3 issue 1, variant cover for Hit Girl. I think it's probably the best cover they came out with, in my opinion. So that's in there. Now we got the entire Hit Girl series, which will actually be taking place in the movie, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So you got Hit Girl, what basically happens in this series is like Hit Girl dealing with trying to become a normal teenage girl, which is obviously pretty hard for a girl who's basically grown up to be an assassin. And I've got the entire series, which is pretty cool because it's the only thing I have the entire series of when it comes to Kick-Ass. So I'm pretty proud of owning it all because it's one of my favorite series. So that's issue 3. Really like that cover. Really like all the Hit Girl covers because they're pretty awesome. There's issue 4. And the final issue of the series is issue 5. So there we go. One of my favorite series so far. Next up is Batgirl issue 13 from the New 52. And when I got this, the next week when I went to the comic book store, instead of it being $3, they were selling them for like $20, $25-ish. And I'm a huge fan of Batgirl, and since this story kind of has a lot to do with her, in my opinion, is really cool because it has the nice little cover. And then I liked the story so much, and the second print variant, that I actually bought a second print of it as well, which I think the cover is freaking amazing. Like, whoever did the art, I guess it's Ed Benz, or Bennis even, when he did the art for Batgirl, it was immaculate. I don't really like the art at all on Batgirl right now, so. Next up is Batgirl issue number 1. I originally, when I started collecting comics, the comic book store I went to at the time had like an 18th printing of Batgirl issue 1, so I got that, but I didn't know it was a 15th printing until later on. So then once I got the chance, I bought a issue number 1 first print. So that's one of my pride and joys in my collection. The next thing is one of those Death in the Family covers that was supposed to have one of those, but they actually printed some of them without. So it's a 1 in 25 cover that they were selling for $10 at my comic book store at the time. So since I'm such a huge fan of Batman, I had to buy that. The next thing, I don't think I've ever shown in one of my videos, but I think I mentioned it at least. It's the Death in the Family. It's the issue where Jason Todd actually dies and then eventually becomes Red Hood. So it means a lot to me because I think Red Hood is awesome, and I like Jason Todd as Robin. So he's one of my favorites. The next up is really one of my pride and joys of my collection. This I got last year just before Baltimore Comic-Con because I was going to go there and get it signed by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, and it was going to be really awesome, but then I ended up not being able to go. So I'm hoping I can go this year and maybe get it signed. I'm not even sure if they're going this year, so hopefully I can get it signed by them. That would mean a lot to me, especially because I got this when it was like $20, and now it's like upwards of $50 or $80 or something, so that's pretty awesome. Next one is a Batman and Robin issue number 1 from the New 52, which is one of my favorite series from the New 52 because I love, the dynamic between Batman and Robin, specifically, Damian Wayne. So right here we got Batman Inc. number 1 and number 8. I have the number 1 because it's in there, number 1. And then number 8 is obviously the issue where Damian Wayne gets killed. So when that issue came out, me and my friends, we went all over Virginia searching every comic book store, trying to buy as many copies as we could for that. And that's why it's pretty cool to me, because it kind of brings me back to that time when we were all comic book hunting, and it was a lot of fun. So here's Suicide Squad issue number 1. One of my favorite covers from the New 52, especially one of my favorite number 1 covers, and Harley Quinn just looks awesome in that cover. So, yeah, and then you got like Sharkface or whatever his name is, and Deadshot. One of my favorite covers from the New 52. Next thing is, I think, the final DC thing in my comic book collection for my greatest of or best of or whatever, and it's Red Hood and the Outlaws number 1, which is awesome. Gotta love that series, at least while Kenneth Rocafort was on the art. And this is when we start getting into the Amazing Spider-Man stuff, which is probably what a lot of you guys want to see, since I'm such a big collector of Spider-Man. So this is the King Size Annual number 5, and what this story has to do with is basically it tells the story of Peter Parker's parents, like how they died and stuff like that. So it means a lot to me to have it, especially because you get to see that kind of unfold in the Amazing Spider-Man movies that are happening right now. And this cover is just awesome. I really, really love this cover. And the colors are still really vibrant. And you got to think this is only like 5 or 6 years into Spider-Man, so it's still a pretty cool thing to have. in my opinion. And the next thing is the first appearance of Carnage, which is Amazing Spider-Man issue 361. This is definitely something that's important to me to have in my collection because I honestly didn't think this was an expensive comic. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think this was going to be something that was really rare until one day I went into my comic book store and obviously you can see the price tag on it. And I was like, damn, I thought I would be able to just pick this up whenever I wanted to for like $5 at max. And, he was like, no, it's actually a pretty sought after issue. I mean, I knew, Carnage is a huge character and everything. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll get that. And I ended up talking him down to like 22 or something like that. So I was pretty proud of getting that. And it's an awesome cover. One of the covers I'm actually at least remotely attracted to when it comes to, I don't even remember his name, but the guy who made Spawn and did all like the 300 issues of Spider-Man. Forgot what his name is, but whatever. Yeah, so that's a pretty cool issue in my opinion. I really want to get the Venom first appearance, but that's really expensive. But I do want to get it before like they put him in another movie. Okay. So the next one is something I showed in one of my older videos, but it's still awesome to show you guys again, especially for my greatest of collection. This is an Amazing Spider-Man issue 122, and really the only problem with this book is this date stamp. But I would rather have one that's in pretty much perfect condition, like the corners are all pretty nice. There's no rips, tears, or anything like that, and the only real problem is that there's like a little 4x9 on it. So definitely an awesome cover to have. An awesome story, and the best part about it is I think that Spider-Man the original movie is one of my favorite movies of all time because it's the first movie that really was worth watching from my favorite character. And in this issue, Green Goblin actually gets killed the same way he gets killed in the movie. So it's really awesome. And I think this is my only Gwen Stacy cover, and since I love Emma Stone and she plays Gwen Stacy, it's awesome to me to have something like that. So next up is just this isn't really, I don't think, actually this is this is Spider Slayer, which is Alistair Smythe. I haven't actually read it because I'm brain dead, but yeah, issue 105, I just kind of put it in there because it was an older issue and I wanted to show it off. This one I'm not too proud of owning because the white is like, beige now. The colors aren't very great, but it's still cool to have, especially for a Spider-Man fan. Now, this is either the death of Captain Stacy or the issue after it. One of the two, I don't remember. But it's a cool cover because you see Gwen Stacy, you see Aunt May, Mary Jane, and what is his name? Harry Osborn. And, you got J. Jonah Jameson and all of them looking, and he's like, oh my god, he killed Captain Stacy. So, that is pretty cool to have. But yeah, some of these are not going to be like key issues necessarily, but I think this is really special to me because this is the first Silver Age issue of any comic I think I ever bought. But even more so the fact that it was the first Silver Age Spider-Man that I bought, and I really love the cover. He's like, oh my god, cops and stuff. So definitely one of my favorite things in my collection. This one I'm not proud of really having at all. It is issue 69, but other than that, it's got really bad damage all over it, but just to have that issue until I can get a better copy is cool in my opinion. This next one is, I believe, the first Mary Jane Watson cover. So that's pretty cool in my opinion because, obviously I love Spider-Man, and Mary Jane is his longer lasting love interest than Gwen, but I still love Gwen because Emma Stone. But yeah, so you got issue 59, 12-cent cover still. This is a very old comic, and you got the very vibrant colors. So this is one of my favorite things in my collection. Here's that issue of Amazing Spider-Man I was talking about in one of my episodes for my Let's Play, issue 43. It's only 2 issues after Rhino's first appearance, and probably my favorite Rhino cover in general. So that is awesome to have for a Spider-Man collector. The next one is one of the oldest comics that I own. Yeah, one of the oldest, but this is probably one of the best looking old Spider-Man comics I have. What it is even though you can't really tell from the cover, is it's the first appearance of Norman Osborn, who, as you guys know, is the Green Goblin. It's not the first appearance of the Green Goblin, but it is the first appearance of Norman Osborn. So, pretty cool beans. And I think this is the oldest one. Actually, I'm almost certain this is the oldest Spider-Man comic I own. It's probably the worst in terms of condition that I own, but it's awesome because it's the first appearance of not only Gwen Stacy, but also Harry Osborn. So that is awesome. But as you can tell, it's just in horrible condition. I'll actually save this one for last. So here are two Web of Spider-Man comics. This one is, I believe, the first appearance of the Spider Armor, which isn't any big deal for anyone probably, except for me and some other people who played the original Spider-Man game and like Spider-Man 2 or whatever, where you could get that Spider Armor power-up. But that's really all it means to me, is because that was one of my favorite games as a kid and one of the only ones I had for my PlayStation 1. And then we got Web of Spider-Man issue 1, which is like a $20-ish comic, I think, which I ended up getting for like $1 at like a used bookstore. And it's in really, really good condition. So the significance of this comic to me is that if you guys remember the scene in Spider-Man 3 where Spider-Man is ripping off the venom, from his body up in the light or the church tower, that exact scene is also in this comic. That's what I love about Spider-Man 1, or like the original Spider-Man trilogy, is that scenes from the comics are legitimately brought to life in the movie. So it's really awesome to be able to read this and then watch the movie, and it's like the exact same thing. So one last comic. This is definitely one of my favorite things I have, probably in my top 3 of my collection. I ended up getting this for $15. At the time, I wasn't really like a huge collector, and I didn't know much about it, but I ended up finding this comic book store that I've gone to for probably like 6 or 7 months now. And they ended up telling me it's worth like 50 to 60, even like 80 sometimes. So, what if you guys don't know, this is Marvel's Superheroes Secret Wars issue number 8, and it's the first appearance of the black suit costume. Some people say it's issue 252 of Amazing Spider-Man. Some people say it's Web of Spider-Man number 1. But I'm pretty sure this is the first appearance of it in general. The first appearance of it in the Amazing Spider-Man comics is 252, and then Web of Spider-Man is like the third appearance. But this is supposedly the first appearance. I wouldn't know because I'm not from the 70s, but I think it's awesome. I love this cover, and it's in literally almost perfect condition. And it's awesome seeing all these people in the background. Like, for example, you got Mr. Fantastic, you got Iron Man, Dr. Octopus, just so many people in the background fighting. And then Spider-Man's like, what? I'm black suit costume? Awesome. And then this eventually leads to becoming, to Eddie Brock becoming Venom. So yeah, that is the best of my collection. Obviously, there's probably some stuff that I accidentally left out in my collection, but hopefully this, showed you guys a good bit of my collection. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like rating, and I will see you guys next time.